with shadows on my wall. All night, hearing voices telling me that I should get some sleep, because tomorrow might be good for something. Hold on, feeling like I'm headed for a breakdown, and I don't know why. But I'm not crazy, I'm just a little unwell. I know right now you can't tell, but stay a while and maybe then you'll see a different side of me. I'm not crazy, I'm just a little impaired. I know right now you don't care, but soon enough you're gonna think of me and how I used to be me, and talking to myself in public and dodging glances on the train.
Invisible in plain sight. That's how I feel. I deal with one of many invisible illnesses. Mine is called fibromyalgia, Fibro. What makes this chronic, uncurable disease invisible? No one can tell I have it by looking at me. It doesn't show up on an MRI or blood test. It leaves no mark on my body. It's basically a rule-out diagnosis. It took about 10 years to rule out everything else and just call it fibromyalgia, pain in combined forms. Fibromyalgia symptoms include, but are not limited to, widespread pain of varying kinds, memory and concentration issues or brain fog, chronic fatigue, irritable bowel syndrome, tender points, bruise-like feeling, sleep problems, headaches, stiffness, anxiety and depression, numbness and tingling, restless leg syndrome, skin sensitivity, sensitivity to sound, smell, activity, and light, temperature regulation. I can be hot and cold at the same time. It can be 100 degrees and I will get chill bumps. It is rare that I have a day without any of these symptoms. Weather changes, excessive heat or cold, storms, overdoing it, not getting enough sleep, are all things that bring on a flare-up. But there doesn't have to be a reason. Flare-ups also come whenever, for whatever reason. I can feel fine 1 minute and be in intense pain the next. And because it isn't visible to anyone, most people believe it's not really happening. So, what would it look like if people could see fibromyalgia? I've altered these photos to show the areas of my body most affected by fibromyalgia. My head, frequent migraines and headaches, TMJ, sinus problems. My neck, stiffness, pain, cramping, tenderness. My shoulders, flu-like achiness and tenderness, like I have both deep and surface-level bruising. Clothing hurts. Having someone place their hand or pat me on the shoulder is excruciating. But I've learned not to react because people don't believe me and think I'm being dramatic. My arms, flu-like achiness, shooting electrical-like pain, stiffness. You know that feeling of having your blood pressure taken and the cuff is as tight as it can get? That's what it feels like. My back, again, flu-like achiness, especially in the right shoulder blade. I often feel like people are pulling my arms in 2 different directions, trying to rip them off. If I bend over, I often get stuck and need help getting back up. My hands, pain, stiffness, shooting electrical pain, loss of grip. There are days I can't open jars or even hold a pen to write. My legs, shin splints when I haven't done anything to cause them, stabbing, hip flexor pain, shooting electrical pain, flu-like achiness, muscle weakness, especially right above the knees, cramping. My feet, plantar fasciitis, intense cramping, stabbing pain, tender points. Other symptoms I have are chest pain, irritable bowel syndrome, ringing in the ears, depression, anxiety, panic attacks, constant fatigue, but I cannot sleep without multiple sleep aids, severe menstrual cramping and excessive bleeding with no medical cause until I had surgery. Any injury becomes a permanent flare point. Worsening vision, sometimes the pain is so bad it hurts to breathe. Would you like to know what the pain feels like? Go get an ice cube. Hold it in your hand and squeeze. Keep it up for 60 seconds. Now, imagine that feeling all over your body. And yet, every day I get up, unless the flares are so bad I can't move. This is fairly rare, thankfully. I get up. Sometimes I feel like I'm walking on glass, but I get up. I go to class. I do my homework. I go to my internship site and see clients. I go to rehearsal. I perform. I volunteer. I live my life as best I can. I fight through the pain and get what I can done. I participate in my life because if I don't, I will be giving up. And I can't give up. Yes, there is plenty that goes undone. My house is a mess. I have to pay someone to mow and weed. But I'd rather spend what energy and focus I have for the things that give me joy, like my family, my friends, my coursework, my work with clients, singing, acting, dancing. Wouldn't you, if you had these limitations? I need to forego some of the things that seem easy to everyone else in order to ensure I am on time and present for my clients, not canceling their appointments last minute because I can't get out of bed. Someone once said life is a marathon, not a sprint. Every day and sometimes every hour with fibromyalgia is a marathon. It takes endurance. I've learned to endure it. I've had to. I've learned how to get on with my day and not allow my symptoms to interfere most of the time. Even if a person knew I had a disability and believed me, they may not know I'm hurting. There are very few people I tell my reality to. So yes, I may be smiling, I may be moving normally because I've learned to. It's like when I'm on stage. I can play a role and the audience may believe the character 100%. But when I walk off that stage, I am no longer that character. Or the athlete who puts in everything they have into their performance, even though they've been recently injured. While they're out there, you can't see any trace of their injury. It's only after they walk off into the sidelines or the hallways or locker rooms that you see them cringe or limp. I have learned to face each flare-up with endurance. This endurance helps me avoid zoning out on clients when I'm flaring. It's helped me attend concerts, competitions, and plays that my children or husband have been in, even when my head is pounding and spinning with a migraine or sensory overload. Yes, there are moments and days when the pain and fatigue is too much. Then I need to rest. Even if it means I pay someone to mow and weed and my house is a mess, or I have to miss an event I wanted to go to. Because it takes a lot out of me to be present to others, to smile when my whole body is burning with ache, to focus on their needs. My participation in life costs me, and if I don't rest, I will give up. And I can't give up. I hate these days. I feel guilty about what I'm not doing. Canceling on a friend or family member, seeing piles of laundry, dishes, and paperwork, putting off things because I'm too embarrassed for anyone to see the inside of my house. I worry about hurting people's feelings, especially my kids, when I just can't. But if I don't rest, I will be down longer, and I've had to accept that. It doesn't change my feelings of guilt, regret, and anger at myself. It just is. I admit it. I'm a control freak. Having a condition that I cannot control makes me angry. I sometimes feel like I'm in a free fall. On those days where the pain is so bad I can't get out of bed, particularly the migraine days, or the days that I need help getting up and down the stairs because I'm too sore to do it on my own, I hate the lack of control. I don't like to lean on other people. I'm the one who helps others. I hate to need help myself. I taught myself early in life to be self-reliant, so needing help to even walk feels overwhelming. On a few occasions, the pain got so bad while I was out with my family that I had to get a wheelchair or scooter, but at least that let me control whether I went home in defeat or not. Still, it's embarrassing. You get stared at a lot, and it's so much slower than walking. But control is one thing I can also use to my advantage. With the exception of when I experienced a couple of injuries, I have completely avoided using narcotics or opioids for pain relief. Given that my body adjusts to most over-the-counter medications and they no longer work, I know that to move to prescription painkillers would be a fast track to addiction. I just sometimes have to remind myself of that. My biggest fear is losing use of my legs. I have regular nightmares about it. that I'll be walking along and suddenly they give out and I can't get back up. I'll be dancing 1 minute and collapse the next, all in front of my co-actors and an audience, none of whom understand why I'm not still dancing. While there's no cure for fibromyalgia, and it does get worse as you get older, there's nothing to indicate this will happen. But I'm still scared. Every time a new symptom shows up, I have to figure out if it's just the fibro or if it's something else. I've been tested for cancers when the IBS showed up, heart attack when the chest pain and arm pain got worse, and multiple sclerosis when I started experiencing a strange vibrating sensation in my feet. Thankfully, I don't have any of those. The only thing wrong on my many MRIs is a degenerating disc in my neck from a car accident over 20 years ago. But that does not explain anything away. I can't be complacent and just assume that when a new symptom appears or a familiar one gets worse, that it's just the fibromyalgia. So each time it happens, the cycle of anxiety appears. Lack of control leads to frustration and anger. Imagine running into an acquaintance who you know, but not well enough to share your reality with them. They saw you a few days ago at rehearsal or worked with you to help build props for the marching band or running errands or whatever. Now they see you and you're using a cane or in a wheelchair. Or your lawn hasn't been mowed this week and the weeds are overgrown. You have to explain why something hasn't been done, why you can't come to their cast party when you barely made it through a double show day and set strike. What happened? Why? Why? Here's a sample of what I hear all the time. You don't look sick. You just need more exercise. You seem to be moving around just fine. It's all in your head. You're just depressed. You're just lazy. Take an Advil. Oh, and let's not forget navigating the healthcare system. Every time I go to urgent care or the emergency room for an injury or just because a fibro symptom has gotten worse and I think I need to have it checked out, I get screened for drug use because the tests don't show anything. Despite the fact that I have no narcotics or opioids or record of drug use in my chart, it's the same assumption every time, that I am drug seeking. I had one doctor pretend to leave the room to get a pen, only to sneak up behind me and grab my arm and jerk it behind me to see if I'd react. For the record, I screamed because it hurt so badly. All because he thought I was after drugs. I had another completely ignore my symptoms of a bad sore throat and swollen face because he saw I was on antidepressants for pain control. 2 days later, I was in the hospital with a severe case of mono and on IV fluids for dehydration because my throat was so sore I couldn't even swallow water. So even going to the doctor for a cold or flu is not a simple anxiety-free experience. I'm subjected to discrimination and assumptions because too many doctors still think you're only in pain if they can see it, and if you're on antidepressants, you must be faking it. But despite the ignorance of others, the pain, the frustration, and the lack of control, there are positives. As mentioned before, I've developed endurance and persistence, and I've learned to pay attention to my body's needs and use self-care before my body insists on it as much as I can. I have faith that I can still do a lot of things so long as I take care of myself. I have faith that someday there will be more understanding and knowledge of what causes fibromyalgia and a cure found. There are things I want to do, and I have faith that I can continue to do them. While rock climbing is a bit beyond me right now, it's something I hope to try one of these days. For now, I accept that my house will be a mess until I'm done with school. I have to pick my battles, and that's okay. I'll continue to audition and perform as much as I can, and maybe I'll get to have a garden again someday and pick up embroidery or cross-stitch again. I have every reason to be hopeful and to have faith that I will be okay and keep reaching for the life that I want to have. Resilience is also something I'm learning. Rather than giving up, I'm continuing to do the things I love as often as I can and to try new things when the opportunity comes along. I may not ever be 100% symptom-free, but I have learned to live with fibromyalgia and manage it as much as possible. I have no other acceptable choice. I will continue to live and continue to challenge myself. I'll continue to seek relief and to speak out for myself and everyone living with an invisible illness, educating those who don't get it, who think we're making it up. I consider myself blessed. I have many friends and acquaintances who, due to their fibromyalgia, MS, Crohn's, dystonia, arthritis, cancer, chronic fatigue syndrome, diabetes, Lyme disease, lupus, and the many other invisible illnesses, cannot work or need special services like handicap parking, disability funding, food stamps, and so on. I can help others understand that just because someone isn't wheelchair-bound doesn't mean they're not ill or trying to cheat the system. I can help change the ignorance of so many in the medical field and the general public. I've also learned compassion. I used to be one of those people who would make passive-aggressive statements about people using handicapped parking spaces that didn't look handicapped to me. It's made me more understanding and forced me to confront this particular area of my judgmental nature. In addition, it's made me more sensitive to others. I feel I'll be an even better therapist because of it. My clients are worth the effort I put into being present when I'm in pain or my brain is foggy going into a session. I am less likely to judge someone based on their appearance or when they have to back out of a commitment or appointment last minute. While I work hard to ensure my disability does not interfere with my ability to work with my clients, I do need to be mindful. If the symptoms become so distracting that I cannot focus and put it aside, it is more ethical to cancel the session due to illness. I cannot ensure what is best for my clients if my disability is at the level of interference. At the same time, having a chronic invisible illness puts me in a unique position to help other people. I can empathize and connect with them on a deeper level, enhancing the therapeutic alliance by sharing a bit of my own struggle. This can also normalize the depression and anxiety that they are feeling as a result of their own illness and help them connect to the fact that they are not alone. They are not weak or odd because they feel the way they do. And it does the same for me. It gives me purpose to help me fight through the difficult days.